In the heart of the forests of Southeast Asia, one of the most controversial wars in modern history broke out, the Vietnam War. It all began after the Second World War, when France withdrew from Vietnam and a communist leader named Ho Chi Minh emerged on the scene. He sought his country's independence and unification under a communist regime. But during the Cold War, communism was not just a political system. In the eyes of the United States, it was the greatest threat. So, when Vietnam was divided between a communist North supported by the Soviet Union and a South backed by the West, the United States decided to intervene to prevent the South from falling. In the early 1960s, under the presidency of Lyndon Johnson, America began sending military advisors, some units, and logistical support. But this help quickly turned into full involvement in the Vietnamese quagmire. In 1965, American bombs began raining down on the forests, and the number of U.S. soldiers in Vietnam reached more than 500,000. But the problem was that this war wasn't a conventional war. It was a guerrilla war, full of mines, tunnels, ambushes, and Vietnamese fighters who vanished into the jungle like ghosts. The Viet Cong, fighters from the north, had neither planes nor tanks, but they possessed an unbreakable will, and their knowledge of the land turned every tree and stone into a weapon. Meanwhile, in the United States, protests began. Students, artists, and academics took to the streets to oppose the war. Images of corpses, burned villages, and soldiers returning without limbs or psychologically broken deeply shook American public opinion. And in 1973, after years of bloodshed, the United States began gradually withdrawing. Then, 2 years later, in 1975, communist forces from the north entered Saigon and South Vietnam fell. The war ended, marking the first major defeat in the history of the United States. But its consequences did not. More than 3 million deaths, massive destruction, and an image forever etched in history of a war whose purpose was never clearly understood. And Vietnam? It was unified under communist rule and began a long process of recovery after one of the most violent chapters of the 20th century. Finally, if you enjoyed the video, give us a like and check out one of the 2 videos shown on the screen.